Laganini intervju tjedna. S najviše točke u gradu, aktualne teme, analize, vaša mišljenja i komentari. Bez cenzure. Srijedom u 13 sati. Intervju tjedna.
Another week, another interesting topic of conversation here on Laganini FM. I'm Maja Štrbac and I will be your host today. If you're a sports fan, if you're wondering how the Olympic preparations are going, or if you maybe just appreciate the French culture, you're in for a treat today. Joining me in the studio, we have the French ambassador to Croatia, Fabien Fieschi. Welcome.
Thank you, Maja, for having me.
There's around 100 days left until the Olympic Games. Are some things still in the making, or are things almost finalized? Are France and Paris ready for the Olympics?
Yes, we are ready. Actually, a number of facilities and sites have already been delivered. In particular, the aquatic center, which will be used for water polo, which I know is very important for Croatia. A number of other sites. We still have to deliver one or two new subway stations, but it will be ready in time. And also, I think one important facility that was very much awaited is some improvement to the sewage system in order to make it possible for athletes to swim in the Seine River.
Okay, that sounds like it's quite of a challenge to do. Is it a challenge?
I would say it was a challenge because we've been talking about making the Seine bathable or swimmable for decades now, but now we have done a lot of investment and everything is going to be ready for the athletes to swim in a clean river.
Excellent, that's good to hear. And Paris is normally full of visitors all year round, and you must be expecting many more during the Olympic Games. Are the facilities ready for athletes, but are they ready as well for the visitors?
Obviously, yes. As you said, we are quite used to receive a number of tourists. I think that France is the number one tourist destination in the world, 100 million visitors every year. Not all of them in Paris, but for Paris it's pretty usual to have a lot of tourists. Some French people also will be on holiday during this period. Some of them will stay in Paris, but some other will be out. So overall we expect increased traffic. But again, we have also made sure that we will have new, for example, railway station allowing people to go directly to the Olympic sites with public transportation, and also most of, if not all, the Olympic sites will be accessible also by bicycle. So if you want to have also some kind of green transportation, it will be possible.
Okay, you've thought about everything, right?
I hope so.
How are the Parisians reacting to that? I mean, that's a lot of people. You said it, 100 million people is quite a substantial amount. So
during the Olympics, we are actually waiting 16 million people. Part of them will be French, part of them will be Parisians, and also, of course, a lot of foreign tourists, including from Croatia. People are getting very excited. Obviously, this is a one-in-a-century event. The last time we had the Olympics actually was 100 years ago. So it's a big event. Everybody's excited. And also, it will be the first time that we welcome also the Paralympics. So for us, it will be also about being inclusive, also upgrading our facilities to welcome people with disabilities and wheelchairs and so on. So it will be a great opportunity to leave a positive legacy too.
So the message is quite greater than it usually was. So it's a nice momentum as well to cherish. And France, along with Greece, of course, is the original creator of the modern Olympic idea. How do the French perceive the achievement? Are you proud, or do you maybe feel pressure to achieve more in sports? What's your view of the situation?
Well, first, I think that we are proud that Pierre de Coubertin, a Frenchman, reinvented in a way the modern Olympics, and that those Olympics, which started, small, are now such a big event, a big, celebration of sports and of friendship with a very good spirit. So we are very proud to be part of that with those Olympics in Paris. And actually, it's Paris Olympics, but there will be sites also in other places in France, including in our overseas territories. So, for example, surfing will be in Tahiti. So if you want to go there, it's a very nice opportunity. But I think that, yes, we are very, very proud overall.
Excellent. Okay, you mentioned that there are more locations, right? So except for Tahiti, where are you going to conduct more
Well, for example, sailing will be in Marseille, in southern part of France. There will be, of course, soccer and handball games also in different locations around France. And we have also tried to use, some iconic places in order to have some sports. So, for example, horse riding and equitation will be in Versailles, in the castle of Versailles. So it will be very posh.
Very nice.
And for example, beach volley will be just at the foot of the Eiffel Tower. So we try to have this wow effect of having sports in the middle of the city and in some iconic places.
That sounds amazing. It definitely sounds like a wow effect is going to happen. Amazing. The French are great sporting friends of Croats, but we are also great rivals as well. This is especially evident in the very popular sports of handball and football. You've mentioned them as well. How do you French, as a big sports nation, perceive or look at the successes of us, small Croatia?
I must say that we are very impressed. I think that a lot of people heard first about Croatia when Croatia became independent, but it was in a very, sad and dramatic context, the context of war. And the first time I think they, became aware of Croatia in a positive way was precisely when the Croatian soccer team did very well in Paris, in France, in 1998. And this was the first confrontation. In the end, we won, but it was after a very, very tense game. And since then, I think that people are very much aware, first, of your achievements in soccer. To take the example of my sons, I mean, we all support at home, of course, the French team, but, we also support talent. And everybody likes Luka Modric, for example. Soccer fans all over the world, and including in France, love him, respect him, and I think this is true for many sports. In handball, just to say that there was a big rivalry between France and Croatia, of course, but I attended a competition between Dinamo Zagreb and Paris Saint-Germain recently here in Zagreb, and Nikola Karabatic announced that it will be his last Olympics with France. So there's a chance also for Croatia to overcome this competition with France.
Okay. Yes, I see fingers up in the air. Our listeners can't see that, but okay, that's a good moment to start.
The manager of the French team, who is a very experienced handball player, said that you have a lot of very young talents in handball, so that your future is bright.
Yeah, it does seem quite bright, and we're very, very happy and proud as well. And it's so nice to hear that you perceive us like that as well. You've mentioned in the very beginning the stigma that we had was quite unfortunate one, but it's much better to be...
Sports has really helped Croatia to get a very positive image internationally, I'm sure.
Yeah, excellent. The French Embassy recently conducted a competition whose goal was to strengthen French-Croatian partnership through the development of small projects, and the competition offered financial support as well. Do you still carry out such campaigns or activities, and is there something in plan?
Well, the activities of an embassy are about cooperation, are about building stronger bonds between countries and between people. So we always try to work in partnership, and for example, we have some programs to support civil society organization in the field, for example, of violence against women. Sometimes we worked also on topics about reconciliation between young generations, or also to raise awareness about the situation of LGBTQ plus people. But it's not only in the field of civil society. We also have a lot of cooperations between universities for research projects. We offer some sponsorship for students to spend some time in France to cover their expenses, to develop exchanges between laboratories and so on. So we really want to have this partnership approach in all the projects we conduct here in Croatia.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose everything can be found on your site, so... Yes,
of course. We carry out campaigns every year, for example, for scholarships to study in France or to do some research in France. So, you have to stay tuned and look from time to time on our website and social networks, and you will find all the information.
Yeah, so here and there, you've heard it here first. Click and find out more.
Exactly.
Our nations are quite similar in many ways, as we mentioned throughout this conversation today. We are two old European nations that share many common ideas and worldviews, but your democratic tradition is, of course, much longer than ours. What piece of advice can you give to our young democracy?
Well, we have a long experience of democracy, but I must say we also had a bumpy road, so to say, because now it's our fifth constitution, a republican constitution, and in the meantime we had also two empires, monarchy coming back, and even one, unfortunately, a dictatorship during World War II. So, it's not an easy process for any country, whether your tradition is long or short. What I can say, if I had an advice to give, is that you must first cherish democracy, not consider it, for granted. And, for example, participation in elections is very important. You had elections recently here in Croatia. I saw that the participation was quite high, which was a good news. There will be also a European Parliament election very soon. And again, I think it's important to participate too in those elections, because people do not always realize that today in Europe, the European Parliament actually has a lot of power. It shares power with the member states. And so, if you don't vote for the European election, then you should not complain if sometimes decisions are taken at the European level that, get implemented in the member states. So, you really have first to vote. And because we have all democracies are facing currently issues about misinformation, manipulation of information. I would say also try to get informed and try to be informed by different sources so that you can take informed decisions about your future.
I completely agree. The full opinion of not voting and then complaining is quite. I will just say not a logical
not only
one.
in Croatia, I think it's the same in every country, but it remains very important to vote, because again, I think that we sometimes forget that many countries do not enjoy the same freedoms that us. So we should really cherish this right to vote, right of freedom of expression and freedom of association. All of this is very important.
Mm-hmm. As you've nicely put it, don't take it for granted. And where do you see the potential for further improvement of relations between our two countries? Is there room for better cooperation in the economic field, or maybe on the cultural one?
There's a lot of potential. First area, you've seen last week actually that the first 6 Rafale, the fighters, came to Croatia. So of course, cooperation in the field of security, I think, has a lot of potential. Talking about defense, but also cooperation between police, because we must realize that in our world where everything is interconnected, criminal organizations are also, they don't know borders. So we have to really cooperate between, for example, French and Croatian police about fighting organized crimes. And in the field of economy too, Croatia is developing rapidly. The average income of Croatians is becoming higher. This means that Croatian consumers are changing their habits, and very often in terms of consumer goods, French products are a little bit on the higher end, so to say. So as people get more wealthy, it creates occasion for them to, know better French products and also purchase new products. And I see also a lot of potential in terms of new industries, digital industries, for example. You have a number of very promising companies. We also do have in France, and digital services also do not know borders. So that's an area where you can have a lot of potential.
Okay, so there are a couple of different directions where we can strengthen our relations. So that's good to hear that there are many opportunities ahead. They say that the European Union is in kind of a crisis, but it is still strong and extremely important. And even Brexit did not threaten it as well. How do you see the future of the European Union?
Well, first, I would say that the President of the French Republic, Emmanuel Macron, made a big speech about the future of the European Union just a couple or 3 or 4 days ago. And he may have sounded a little bit dramatic because at some point he said that our Europe as we know it may also die. So of course it may sound negative, but actually it was more of a wake-up call. We talked about democracy and how we should cherish it, care about it if we want it to thrive. And I think that's what the French president wanted to say about the future of Europe. We cannot take Europe as it is for granted too. We have a lot of competition. We have also actors internationally who are aggressive. Let's mention Russia. We have a situation of war in Ukraine, not far from us, which will also define our future. So we must do all the things that are necessary to have a stronger, more sovereign, more independent Europe. It requires a lot of work, but overall the message is optimistic. We can do it. We can do it, but we have to get our acts together if we really want to compete in this very competitive world.
Could you elaborate on get your facts straight and keep your head together on that?
Yes, it's about, for example, it's about defense. As we've seen, we were not expecting actually what is happening currently in Ukraine, but now that it's happening, we really have to react to make sure that we have a stronger European defense industry, that we are able to perform better together as Europeans, not relying only on our American friends for our defense. This is very important. And also in the international industrial competition, maybe we have been a little bit naive. We did not, for example, care enough about our energy supply. We were depending again very much on Russia for our gas, for example. So we have to make sure that we have diversified sources of energy, that we also produce ourselves more green energies, renewable energies, that in some key strategic industries like, semiconductors, chips, artificial intelligence, for example, we have European unicorns, have European companies. We have a good environment for European startups to develop on a single market so that they can become, bigger and bigger and really offer some alternatives for Europeans to either American or Chinese companies.
Mm-hmm. So we should turn to countries that are here in the European Union to gain all of the necessities that we need for life.
Yes, exactly. I think that, again, we have a lot of already big companies. We also have a lot of young entrepreneurs. Here in Croatia, you said you are a small country, but, you already have also two unicorns like Rimac and Infobip. You should be proud of it, but, we should really make sure that when we have like those very good companies, we help them grow on a single market so that, they can really compete with the big Chinese, American, sometimes tomorrow Indian companies too. So it's very important that we create that kind of environment.
We are almost at the very end. We have a couple of minutes left, and as we've discussed today, in many ways, French culture has influenced Croatian culture, especially in music. We are here at a radio station, so that's quite important for us. Many Croatian musicians looked for models in the classic of French music. Who are your favorite French musicians? Who do you listen to?
Well, maybe actually to start with classical music, I would say that I'm a big fan of French Baroque music, composers such as Couperin. He's a composer I love very much because he was, he's from the 17th century. But somehow his music is also very modern in some ways, and he influenced 20th century composers like Debussy and Ravel, who I love also very much.
Debussy is my favorite, I have to tell you.
I have a slight preference for Ravel, but okay. I also love Debussy very much.
That's another conversation.
Yes. And, I think a lot of Croatian people know about French chanson from, for example, the 50s, the 60s, Edith Piaf. I love particularly Georges Brassens, who is a singer-songwriter singer-songwriter who, just accompanied by very simple melodies on guitar, but very nice lyrics. I love it very much. And, this tradition has not died, but contemporary France is a country of migrations. And sometimes, people report in a negative way about, insecurity, violence, and so on and so forth. But we should not forget that a lot of generations of migrants have also brought their own culture and have made French culture richer. So now we have young rappers such as Soprano, for example, or bringing Aya Nakamura. She has her artist name is Japanese, but actually she's a young French talent with African origins. So they all bring something new, and you should definitely check them out.
Okay, those are some secret favorites that we haven't heard before, so I will definitely check it out after our conversations. What about Croatian music? Do you listen to Croatian music?
I still have to learn a lot about them. I mean, I try to go to the concerts quite often, and last Saturday, there was a creation, I think, by it's the first time I heard one of his compositions, Mr. Srđan Dedić, I hope I pronounce his name well, at the Lisinski, and it was wonderful. It's contemporary classic music, so to say, and it was, really wonderful. I also met with the former president Ivo Josipovic, who is a composer,
he's a composer.
And I actually listened to one of his compositions also at the Lisinski, so it was great. But about pops, for example, I must say I still have to learn everything. So I have to listen to your radio, I guess.
Absolutely, you have to listen to us. That'll help a lot. Okay, very good. Have you maybe listened to Eurosong? Do you have a favorite?
I've heard that the French competitor appeared on Croatian TV and apparently received quite high marks. I know also about the Croatian candidate, so Baby Lasagna, right?
Yeah, Baby Lasagna, that's right.
So I wish him well. I mean, I wish them well. So, I think it's always good fun for all the European audiences, and, it's a nice competition.
Absolutely. And yet again, the French and Croats being in a competition.
Be in finals, so to say?
Being in
like
finals.
In soccer. Yeah.
That's right. Thank you so much for all of your answers and for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Dear listeners, that is all for today. We've reached the end of the interview of the week. Thank you for listening and stay tuned with Laganini.
Laganini intervju tjedna.